Good morning, Morgan.
Oh, hi, baby. How are you doing today?
I'm excited. You know I'm excited.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
Well, it could be because we're having our first guest today.
Woo!
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I know. It's like what? So, welcome to Getting to After. My name is Chatone Morrison. I am the Princess of Positivity. I do believe that you can release your negativity so your positivity can reign in your brain, in your business, in your big, beautiful life. This is my amazing co-host.
Hey, everybody. I'm Morganne Bustos, and my whole purpose in life is to help midlife millennial women and to be able to help all women be able to know that they have a safe place to land. So, welcome to Getting to After.
So today we are here to welcome Janet Brown. She is a diva. She is a queen. She is all about that life of grace, grit, being graceful, and as you age, doing it green. I'm very inspired by her. We've been working together for quite a few years now, and I'm super inspired by all the things she does. And so we want to go ahead and welcome her. And you ready to bring her in, Morgan?
Oh, yes. Let's do it.
Hello, Janet, and welcome to Getting to After. We are so excited to cut it up with you this morning. How are you?
I'm great, and I feel very privileged being here with you ladies.
Yes. I have to tell everyone I'm going to be smiling a lot. It's going to be big. I'm going to try not to, but the truth of the matter is I have so much joy this morning. I met Janet actually through social media and through a friend. Today, we're going to be talking about all the things that she does that are amazing to really inspire you not to stop. Age is just a number. This idea of aging gracefully and all of that, the age doesn't even matter. This is Grace right here. We got a queen here. She is truly graceful. And she's going to be talking to us about all the cool things that she's done to kind of have that continuum of being amazing, because sometimes we feel it stops in our 20s, or we're like, I'm peaking in my 30s because I'm a super mom. Um, Janet, we're going to let you decide if you want to tell us how old you are, but let me just tell you this from experience, guys. I've been working with this woman, and I will tell you, she's done it all, and she's still doing it all. So, why don't you go ahead and let us know, um, first of all, right now, what are you kind of into right at this moment? Like, what are the things that are juicing you up and making you excited right now?
Well, I'm excited every day that I wake up. The fact that
Mhm.
I'm 64, I feel very privileged being there. I'm not shy to say how old I am because it's not about the age. Because, like they say, age ain't nothing but a number. But I'm an influencer for vegan eating, healthy eating, clean
Oh,
eating.
wow, good, so good. And what I love about this is that, this idea of celebrating change. So some of us may be learning some new things today. And Morgan, of course, just jump in. We may be learning some new things because there's so many schools of thought about what health looks like, um, how you're supposed to eat, and we're bombarded with so many messages. And what I love is the fact that you've been very consistent with this over a time, even though you weren't always putting it on social media. I do want to just give a little plug to anyone who's of a certain age and you think that, I don't understand social yet, so it's not going to work for me. You want to make sure you pay attention here, because everything Janet's saying, Janet is not new to this. She is true to this, and she always resurrects herself as a content creator, and it's absolutely amazing. It is one of the reasons why I've stuck by you so closely these last few years. So one of the things we love to do here to kind of get us into this vein of just being relaxed, because we are airing this on a Monday morning, and we do realize that everybody probably either in a car loop at school, or you're dropping someone off, picking someone up, about to go to the boardroom, you're sitting in your parking lot saying, do I really have to go in that building? I
Mm.
know you have that going on. Or maybe you're early retired and you're now welcoming the grandkids in because the parents want them to not have to go to summer camps in your living room. We want to give you a moment right now to kind of ground, kind of breathe, and kind of relax for a second. And Morgan's going to lead us in that. And basically, Janet, what this is just a way for you to just kind of be like, whoo, before we get our conversation started. Go ahead, Morgan, take it away.
Okay, everybody. Well, good morning, first of all. What we're going to do is we're just going to go through some breathing, and we're going to just take a second and relax. So we'll start off by just resting our eyes or your gaze. If you're not driving, please don't close your eyes. Make sure you're in a safe area. But we're going to go ahead and just close your eyes, rest your gaze a little bit. We're going to take in 2 deep breaths through our nose and then out through our mouths. And when you're breathing out through your mouth, you can make a sound, and that will help relax your body even more. So we're going to breathe in and out. And in and out. And as you're doing that, I just want you to take a scan of your body. We're going to start at the top of our heads, and we're going to work down through our hair, through our face, through our eyes, and we're just going to relax. Pay any attention to any sore or tight muscles in your jaw. If you're feeling anything, you're more than welcome to massage your jaw a little bit. Stretch out your neck. Go from left to right. While you're doing this, make sure that you're just softly breathing, filling your belly and your body with air, letting it know that it's safe. You can take your hand and put it on your heart. This mimics a hug, and everybody loves a hug. This will also help relax your nervous system and let you know that you're safe. You can take your other hand and rest it on your stomach. As you're breathing in, just breathe in peace, happiness, gentle softness, and joy. And breathe it out. Now we're going to move down to our legs. You can take your hands and you can rub them back and forth on your legs. Notice the heat, the warmth that's coming from that friction. Feel your body settling into your chair. Just relaxing. All of your energy moving down your legs, into your feet, and out through the floor. And in this moment in time, I want to invite you back to open your eyes and be present in this moment.
Oh, yeah.
Was that good?
Yeah, I always love I have to be reminded to do things like stretching. It's really good for my diagnosis, and I should do this more often.
Yeah, yeah. So I do know that you have some illnesses you battled. When I first met you, I actually met you at a online party, right, toward the end of the pandemic, and you really wanted to support your friend, and you were actually lying down. And one of the things that I admired about that, I said, first of all, what a friend. This is what a friend looks like. I'm going to support you even when I'm on my back. Immediately. But then I saw this beautiful, like when you came on, you had this hair, your face was done, but you were on your back. Why don't you let us know a little bit about some of the illnesses that you've had, that you've gone through?
Well, I just don't look at them as illnesses. They're just challenges, that we face every day. When I'm a spinal stenosis, my spine is narrowed down to nowhere. The other one, I have what you call Schrogen's syndrome, is where all your membranes dry out, including your eye, and I get that, that tear that you've seen in my eye because it gets too dry, and I open my eyes and it rips the cornea. Um,
Mm. Hmm.
and, we got old Arthur that always visit us. So from time to time, I mean, the list kind of goes on, but they're just challenges, that we all have to face because we have deteriorating bodies.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
really bad knees, I gotta have surgery on my knees. I'm bone on bone right now in both of them. So yeah.
And smiling.
Yeah.
That's the best part to me. Morgan, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this as well, because here again, we have 3 decades here talking, right? So I'm in my 50s. You mentioned you're in your 60s. Morgan's in her very early 40s. And yet, Morgan, you too have had chronic illnesses and caregiving for others. So why don't you go ahead and take it away and, talk with Jen a little bit about that?
Well, first of all, I just want to tell you how much respect and love I have for you, because when you do struggle with chronic illnesses, it is a fight just to get out of bed every morning. So I have a lot of love and respect for you. But I did want to ask you, you've been a caregiver with health problems for quite a long time. So how do you exactly do that and keep showing up for yourself? I mean, you have on a beautiful full face of makeup, you're on point, your hair is done. Like, how do you keep that balance and still, yeah, still show up for yourself while taking care of everybody else?
It is very important that we not, meditate on ourselves. My mother always taught me that. She always tell me, always put other people's, in front of yourself. And so I made it, like I'm caregiving for my sister now. My baby sister's living with me. She just got the hospital. She's going to be here for a long time. She can't walk and things like that. But it's a it's a part of my routine of life. It's a routine. When you keep your routine, whatever's added to your plate, you just make place for the routine and just keep going. You don't think about it. You just do it. And it just makes it a lot easier. Because when you think about it, it kind of gets because like, oh, what am I gonna do? But
Mhm.
part of your routine, so just fit it in. Okay, gotta back this up, make this a little shorter. Do this. Okay, now I got it all in there. I keep a schedule and I check things off
Mm.
as I do every day. And I go
Oh,
back and look at it end of the day. Oh, did I do that? Because having so many strokes I've had in the past, my memory kind of gets crazy too. So I just draw a line through the things that I've done. And,
Mhm.
and I read my book that my mentor there. She's great. She's
it's
great.
an amazing book, isn't it? And I love how,
We all need it.
yeah, I love how you brought up the book too, because in there, what I appreciated about that is how it's guided. So when you do have, like you said, you had a stroke, so it is harder to keep track of things. It's right there for you, so it's easier for you to follow along with and just plug everything in. When you were going through all this, I like that you said that you write lists too, because that's super helpful just in everyday life. But that's something that has really helped you. What else has been able to help you keep on track to keep that strict schedule?
Well, I just personally, you have to know, and I didn't know because I was constantly taking out of the glass.
Mm,
It's empty, then there's nothing to take from. So you got to think about yourself and take time out for yourself to refill it. Because if you don't refill it, then you have nothing to to take from. So I make time for of course, prayer and meditation, and
mm,
today, like I tell you, I go with my list. I said, okay, where am I here?
Mhm.
Okay, then I gotta make time to fill my glass. And then as family needs me, I go, well, I'm taking time off right now for this day and that day because I gotta fill my cup. My cup is getting empty. I know you guys don't understand that, but it's getting empty.
You know something? I want to make sure that everyone who is listening is paying very well attention. I mean, for those in the back, if
Yeah.
the cup is empty, go get your cup,
mm,
okay?
mm,
Because it doesn't matter. Like, I think the way the world is pouring stuff on us now, we're like, oh, I'm supposed to pour over here. I'm supposed to pour over here. I'm supposed to pour over here. And next thing you know, there's a couple of drops left. Morgan and I talk about that a lot. Part of getting to after, parting the reason why we're here, part of the reason we're here on Monday mornings. It seems weird. Like, I always had a show called Sunday Corner to get people ready to go. But we realized that Monday mornings, like if it didn't happen on Sunday, which a lot of times it didn't, let it happen now. That
Mm.
idea of refilling the cup, that's why we're here. That's why we're here.
So, Janet, how exactly do you protect your energy while still, like, without feeling guilty about it?
Oh, that right there has been a doozy for me lately. Just I was just just this last situation that I'm in right now, because I've been dealing with relatives that like my daughter lost her husband and all that, trying to been pulled to take care of grandkids and try to let her heal. But then there's so much going on that I have to fly out to Atlanta and help my niece
Mhm.
because her mother has cancer and her significant other is down. I'm just gonna put it like that. And so, and I just kept, giving. And then when I got home, I thought I was gonna do me, Well, I gotta do me because I'm not doing too well right now. But then my sister got sick and she's been bounced around. I said, no, it's time for you to come home. But you know the rules of my house. They said a family that prays together stay together. So you got to do what I do. My mother said, when you're in Rome, you got to do like the Romans do. So to make it short and simple, make people know. That's why the family stay away from me, because they know what they got to do if they come over here.
That is called guarding the boundaries.
Yep.
That's girl boss business right there.
So I just keep it, it's hard, and it's been a struggle, because kind of it kind of made me sad, because I started feeling selfish, because I was saying I need time for me, and I started, I've got to be transparent. I was feeling like, you know, I need time for me, and I started feeling bad. Like, why are you going to give yourself time? Your sister needs you. She's not. She doesn't do what I do. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of made me feel, how did I get past that? I have a very supportive husband, and he's seen me struggling with that, and he said, what makes you stress makes me stress. Let's And so, and he told me his view on it, and he said that, we are caregivers. That's what we are. If that's what we're trying to do, that's what we'll do. We lay our laws and our rules, and we don't compromise them. And that's and then it made it more, and it makes you feel so good if you have a mate that he's right on board with you.
Yeah.
It just made everything so much better.
Ooh. So I absolutely, I mean, Morgan, doesn't that make you feel like just, you just get the chill behind that, right?
Yeah. Well, and it takes so much out of you when you have to be a caregiver and have health problems too. So for you to be able to have the love and support of somebody that's like, if you're falling down or not having the energy to at least emotionally and morally, be there to support you and lift you up. But that's such a beautiful thing that he tells you to have like clear boundaries, because that makes it easier for you and everybody else around you, because they know where to stay.
Oh, just speaking of that, I haven't had a chance to formally meet him. I have talked to him on the phone once or twice, but I think part of what anyone who sees you on social media sees every single week is the consistency. A lot of people talk about their marriages. A lot of people take the pretty pictures and they put only one or two pictures up. If anyone very transparently follows me, you're not going to see my husband a lot. I mean, he's here 36 years in. He is always here. He's here every night. I know where brother is right now. But the truth of the matter is, he doesn't like being on social. He doesn't like really having to take his picture taken. And so if you see only us on a beautiful background, and it's because I begged. I was like, baby, please take your picture with me, right? But one of the things that I love about your marriage is the consistency of what partnership looks like. And I didn't know this kind of background. I didn't know your sister had moved in. I knew that there was an issue with her before. I wasn't aware of that. So I will definitely keep you and your family in my prayers, because I know you're always caregiving, and you've been traveling around the last few years taking care of that while in pain. But the thing is that even when you were traveling, I have to smile because it's a little bit like, ooh, like these two, Morgan, be dating on the phone like teenagers when she was taking care of people in Atlanta. My one was still dating, like having that teenage type. When you held your phone like this, not like this, she was having like that old school teen. Look at her face. Look at her face. That old school teen dating. They don't play when it comes to that partnership. They don't play when it comes to the resilience of what love looks like. So I know that every week we're gonna see some in fact, I think I need to show my husband, like, every week she getting dated, bro. Like, you keeping it alive. So talk to us about what is the secret. Okay, I'm married right now. Morgan isn't married. But one of the secrets about how to keep it alive after all these years.
Oh, you know how to keep it alive, because you stay smiling. So a happy wife, she must be living a happy life. Okay. So, it's really not a secret. It's the promise. We just got to go back to, the vows. It's the promise that was made. We got to understand that two people that are totally different have to have some type of, you know, what is it called? What is the word I'm looking for? Something in common. So
Yeah.
we one main thing in common, and we focus on that. So when we have our indifferences, because we're human beings and we're all different,
Right.
we go back to the middle. We go back to the third chord, and it corrects all of our our
Yeah.
moves. So, but the consistency, I have to be transparent again. It sometimes it's not just the the man, we have to take the lead that way. I used to have a problem with that because I was looking at somebody else's relationship. Don't look at other people's relationship and compare them to yours.
Oh,
Y'all listening?
you hear that? That is so important.
Yeah, that's very important because that's what I was doing for a minute because I wanted him to do it because my niece down there and she's a doctor in Georgia and her husband always comes up with this great itinerary. He got something for everything. She doesn't even have to even think about it. I go, where are you going? I don't know. What are you going to do? I don't know. She has, why don't you know? Because he has it all together. So I said, well, why don't he do this? That became to be a problem. He said, quit comparing me to other people. I said, sorry.
But it is something that we do, like my husband is like your niece's husband. He plans everything, and I literally half the time have no idea where I'm going. I don't know. What weather to pack for? Okay, fine. But I want that. But when it comes to the date night, mm-mm. I got to take the lead on that. So I appreciate you saying that comparison. And I mean, Morgan, you and I talk about this all the time, just as women, especially in midlife, we start to look at other people, especially social media makes us look. And wherever if you have a good mate, whoever is taking the lead in one thing, they're not taking the lead in something else. So there's always going to be a toss up. It's just that you don't see that part out in the open.
And date night, I want to just add this. Date night don't mean you got to have money and going places.
Thank you.
Talk about it.
Some of the best times are when you're not spending money and just
time for one another. That's what date night means. Taking time for one another. My thing is that I'm going to do is every Friday, I may not do makeup all week because I'm busy. I have a schedule. I have a routine. And so even though, like when I was traveling, they were wheeling me on. I was in wheelchairs, wheeling me on and off planes. But not to say for anybody to feel sorry, hey, as long as I get to my destination, that's all that mattered to me.
Right.
But the thing is that it's taking time for one another because sometimes you get caught up because he's a truck driver. He's gone 12, 13 hours out of the day, So when we get together on that weekend, and my thing is make sure I'm looking extravagant on that Friday, I know he's going to look forward to that, Do you want to look at a brunette, what do you short?
She's not playing, Morgan. She's not playing. I'm going to take I'm going to find some clips and I'm going to enter them so that the audience isn't missing. And then, of course, we'll make sure that they know how to follow you so they don't miss. Because if you're down on ideas, Girlfriend is a different woman every week. And I will say this, a tip, an old woman, she was in her 99, actually. She just passed last month at 99 years old. And when I first got married, when I was dating, she said to me, don't become the other woman. And I was like, what does that mean? And she was talking about, not taking care of yourself, letting yourself go and things like that. But then she also said, become the other woman. And I was like, well, which is it? Like I was 20, but that's what she meant. And to the day they were married, I think 78 years, something crazy. And that man loved her, but she knew how to keep it spicy, keep it cute. She knew how to switch it up. You know what I'm saying? Girlfriend was a queen of putting on the wig and being somebody else because men do look. And we're not trying to have them look at nobody else.
And I'm glad you said that because my husband's very quiet. He doesn't do a lot of talking. I'm the yapper. He doesn't do a lot of talking. But when I lost my page on Facebook, it got hacked, and it was a good booming page. It kind of did something to my spirit. I kind of fell off of that. And so this is how I know that men do pay attention. They watch because they're visual. We're emotional. They're visual. Yeah. And so he said, you don't do your makeup like you used to. I didn't know he was paying attention. But they pay attention. He said, used to have so much joy doing that. Of course, I did that going to my spiritual meetings and things like that. But he talking about the extravagancy.
Yes.
Yeah, he talked about the bringing the fruit, you know what I'm saying? And so, doing the glitters and the glams and the lashes and the this and that. I had slowed down on those things. My spirit was broke for a moment there.
Yeah.
To show that he was paying attention and he seemed not only did I have joy in it, but he enjoyed looking at it. So when I started back up, he was like, oh, when he come in on Friday, he go, oh, you look so beautiful. I go, quit playing with me. I got to do all that.
But it's so important because you heard him and you listened to him and you took the counsel. Like he's telling you, baby, like I miss seeing you like that. Are you okay? He was showing interest in you emotionally. And then also simultaneously telling you, I miss seeing you like that. I love you, all of you, every way. But that meant something to him too.
Oh yes, that's what we're here for each other. I mean, you stuck with that one. He stuck with me. I'm stuck with him. So hey, we better listen to each other, all the
But
way
you know,
out.
Janet, one of the things I think that's very unique, and it is very inspiring. So I do want to make sure that women don't, midlife is this time where you're getting hot flashes, they starting
Mhm.
up. I was speaking to someone over the weekend, and she was just like, Chatone, like, what in the world? Why am I hot? Right? And she's from the Philippines. She's from the Philippines. That's where she grew up, but she's Chinese. And she was just like, I've been in a hot climate. I was never hot. I'm like, baby, it has nothing to do with the climate. You're powerful enough to create your own weather now. It's different. And so she said, this is not for the faint of heart. And she's married to a really gigantic black man, right? And she's like, he's just like as hot. And I said, one of the things about all those changes that we're going through, we do say, well, my face, I've heard women say, I can't wear makeup and my face is going to melt off. Oh, I can't do the hair thing anymore because my hair is going to frizz up or go back or do whatever. And there's ways of around that so that at least 1 or 2 times a week, if not 1 or 2 times a month, take that extra time. To me, getting to after is about not forgetting what we love about ourselves. But if we are married, it is a privilege to have a good marriage, Janet.
Yeah.
It's a privilege that everyone doesn't have. But do we take it for granted by being slovenly? Now I know that's not you, and it's not me either. I'm not going to show up that way, but sometimes it feels like, well, he's there, I'm there. He's not getting dressed up for me. What? Maybe push him,
Mhm.
push him to do better.
Because he came in here with a holy T-shirt on 2 days in a row, right around the house because I guess it was the weekend. I said, "Oh, would you do that?" I'm just being funny. If you knew Beyonce was outside, would you go outside? He
Talk
said, "You
to him.
something wild, Jen." I said, "Because same thing. I met you. You wasn't wearing holy T-shirts. Why are you that comfortable? I'm not gonna wear something old and raggedy." He said, "Yeah, I know you don't do that." I said, "Well, babe, I like you're a nice looking guy, but I like you to stay the same way. Stay
Hmm.
the people
Because
visual, but we are. Yeah.
yeah. And men are that way. Like they married us and they saw what they were attracted to and they want us to keep ourselves the same way. So there's nothing wrong with us expecting the same thing of them. I remember my dad told me, he was like, Hanusha, just remember, like, as you grow up, he's like, when you get married, he said, make sure that you take care of yourself when your husband gets home and he sees you put together. He goes, I don't care if you're in your pajamas and your slippers, up until like 10 minutes before he gets home. But he said, put on some lipstick, do your hair, change your clothes. 5 minutes, do something, just spice yourself up. Because he says he goes out there all day, every day, and sees women that are on point because they're business women. They're out and about doing their thing. He said, so don't give him a reason to look somewhere else. He says, make sure that you take care of yourself, take pride in yourself. And he says, and it makes you feel better too. So even if you are having a rough day, he's like, it will make you feel better too. And then when you see the look on his face when he sees you, he said, it's worth it.
It is worth it. And if you don't feel like doing all the makeup, just remember the points because I'm a question asker. I ask lots of questions. And he goes, what question now? He's just like, ask me. I was like, what is it about my face that you like? He said, and he never really is, the type that, be specific, And he gets, I don't know. And so this particular time, he said, it's your eyes. So you know what? I use that. And the reason why I wanted to I asked because I needed something to use on my bad days. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, good.
It was my eyes. I don't put on a full face of makeup. I found me a good mascara and I just do my lashes.
Yes.
That's all. I don't put on lashes. I just do me a little mascara. And he don't know. He don't know
Well, you know
mascara.
what I love about that, Janet, though? That is the wisdom. And that's why we're so happy that you're our first guest. That's wisdom because there's a lot of us will be like, I don't care what he think, what I like. You know what I mean? And or even with just in general with yourself, I think that this idea of loving yourself, which I'm 100% a proponent of, this idea of, being self-motivated and all that. I believe in all that. But at the same time, let's face it, we don't go to the market and pick ugly apples. We don't go and get the bruised fruit. Like in other words, there's a visual component to how we live. And when we walk past the mirror, which this is one of the things Morgan always talks about, on our bad days, which all three of us have chronic illnesses. I do too, and so does Morgan. We don't have to look like what we feel like.
Amen.
We don't. And our husbands know. Our husbands know. Morgan, again, doesn't have a husband at this moment, but her kids know. Her friends know. But they know that there's all these physical things going on. We do not have to wear it on a badge like, I feel sick today. Like, it's not necessary. Although there are times where, letting people in is fine. One of the reasons why we like to do EFT and tapping is because it's a way of getting us kind of out of the emotional component of being ill and getting us out of that. But there ain't nothing like a little mascara. Morgan and I just talked about this. What are your two top favorite things to do, Morgan? You told me a couple weeks ago.
My eyebrows and my mascara.
Yeah.
Like, I have to have it. Otherwise, I don't feel right.
Yeah,
and plus, it looked a little scary because I don't have eyebrows. So it's just like, what emotion do you have? I don't know. Are you happy, mad, angry, sad? I don't know. So it helps everybody.
And by the way, y'all, if you're ever looking for, a tutorial on how to do things like brows, makeup, and such, anytime you see Janet Brown going live, you better pay attention. I don't care if you're 15, if you're 20, or if you're 80, pay attention, because here I was thinking I was on point, and then realized my brows were tired. I was not getting my contour correct. She is the contour queen. So we digress. We're actually going to bring you back in. Morgan and I are planning on doing an episode where we're going to talk specifically about things like, just our makeup game. And we want to really have you back. But I want to talk, because the thing that you're really sharing with the world right now is your vegan lifestyle. And that's what got me kind of like, we hadn't talked in a while. And then I looked on TikTok and I said, what? Girlfriend going live? Wait a minute, let me pay attention. You know good and well that I eat meat. Okay, I don't really eat pork too much. I would not eat one piece of bacon a week, let me be honest. Morgan is a meat eater, right? But we are open to talking about the vegan lifestyle. So Morgan, why don't you take it away?
Being vegan, what made you decide to do that? And then what's helped keep you steady with it?
Okay. What made me decide to do it? First, I have to be honest, I wasn't a very big meat eater. As you can look at the size of my bones, I'm a meat and potato girl. I came into the world 12 pounds. I have heavy.
Wow.
I'm a meat girl. So I, as a kid, I drank a gallon of milk a day.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that's what I did. And I used to get in trouble all the time. Where's the milk? Jan drank it. I grew to be 6 foot and 2 tall, inches tall. So it took a lot for me to maintain my stature because my body craved certain things. But I wasn't a big meat eater. I ate meat, but I wasn't a big meat eater. So it was an anniversary coming up, to make it short and simple. It was the anniversary. I had this red dress. I want to get in it, but it was kind of snug across the belly. I said, man, I need to lose some weight to get in this dress. I want it to fit loose, I don't like wearing what's in style. I like wearing what's flattering to my figure. You see what I'm saying?
Amen.
But me look good. And so the dress, I didn't quite make it there. But in the process of that, because I had eliminated so many things to get into that dress, I noticed that I was feeling better. My gut. It was my gut, because I had a lot of problems with off and on constipation and things like that. But I said, oh, well, I don't think I want to go back to just eating whatever. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'll just take out the meat for a little while. So I took out the meat, and I was still eating the dairy. So it was easy to take out the meat, remember, because I'm not a big meat eater, unless my husband grilled. Now, my husband grilled, I'm eating meat. You see what I'm saying? But he didn't grill every day. He grilled every weekend.
Okay.
And I took out the meat, and I noticed that I was being more regular, and I wasn't having as much pain. I said, it dawned on me, I'm like, I feel good today. And I did. After a couple of weeks, I was feeling great. So then I said, let me start looking up, then I seen Tabitha Brown, that lady Tabitha Brown. So I started watching her, researching and different stuff. And I said, wait a minute, why is just the meat? Wait, no, wait, let me check out everything that comes from this animal. I started researching. So out the milk, the cheese, and everything. And then the weight started shedding. I was falling off really super fast, like just melting off of me. Lost almost 100 pounds, really super
Wow.
fast.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, and I was just thinking I was everything. I started putting on jeans that I didn't fit, and all that. And I felt good. That was the main thing. In between that short period of time now, about 3 months, I was on a live doing a makeup tutorial. And I said, ooh, like I kind of did a distance like this. And all my viewers, that's when it was really heavy on Facebook. They would say, Miss Janet, what's wrong in the comments? And I was like, I'm okay. And I kept trying to do my makeup. They're like, Miss Janet, you don't look good. I couldn't see that. And I said, I'm fine, but I wasn't feeling good. My whole motive was to give what I came to do. If I dedicate to do something, I really want to stick with it. If I don't, it's because I truly can't. So I kept on trying to do it. And they said, Miss Janet, they kept on the comments saying, get off the live, because they seen something in my eyes. I didn't see it. I'd had a stroke and didn't know it.
On a
So
live stream.
on live stream, I got the pictures, everything. Beautiful look, but my eyes was just like, it was like one of the most beautiful looks. I had a head wrap on. There was one time I didn't even put a wig on because I said, okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Stay blessed, never stress. That's always my exit. And so I go and I lay right down with my makeup, and I'm in the bed, so loyal to this camera. I'm in the bed sick going, click, click. To make a long story, get past all that, because you guys gonna say you are too much drama. Okay, I wasn't feeling well that night, and my husband said, "Well, rest tomorrow." And then that next day, it wasn't just not feeling well. And I got up and I went to go to the bathroom. I felt like I was in a cloud. It was just like smoke all around me. I had strokes and I didn't know it. My husband went on to work, and I called him. I said, "Babe, something's wrong. Something's really wrong." He said, "Well, I'm going to come home right now. I'm going to take you to the doctor's, to the big hospital, Methodist, wonderful place to be." And they did a brain scan, and they said, "You've had a stroke. And not only have you had a stroke, but you've had multiple strokes." And how many strokes did I have? And I was getting really upset, because, at that time, my mother's been gone since 2011, but at that time, I felt like a little kid. I did. I was like, Mom. I was just started crying and calling my mom. And I was like, Mom, I miss you so much, Mom. And knowing my mama can't hear me, but I'm just still just crying, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. And I was scared. I was terrified. They said multiple strokes, But that was one of the reasons I said, how did that happen? And I talked to the doctor. He said, what is your lifestyle? What do you eat? Because they're looking at my frame.
Right.
They want a lot of pork and I eat greasy foods. I didn't do none of that. None. And I said, I'm a vegan. And he said, you're vegan? And I said, yes. He said, when did you become vegan? He was very confused. And I said, only about 3 months now. He said, well, looking at your cholesterol, it's a little high, not too dangerously high. He said, but that's what saved your life. So that's why I continue to be a vegan.
So it could have been a massive stroke, but so it was already building up.
Yeah, it could have been a massive stroke, but it's, and so I continue being a vegan. Other than my ministry, it's the best life ever. I would never, it's a strong word to say never. I mean, of course I wouldn't if we was in a situation where there was nothing else to eat. Of course, you got to eat to live, you got to survive, you got to eat grass. But it's just that I love it. I'm a creator by nature, and I'm just learning this about myself. And my mother was a cook. I was raised up in her cafe. And my husband's father, he was in the service. So he was a cook in the service. So we both have a lot of cooking skills. So we really complemented and be creative making dishes. And I was the major cook for my family. Always, anytime anybody needed anything. I mean, one time I made 35 desserts in one day. So anytime anybody needed anything made, I was the one to go to. And so now I use creativity, in my vegan cooking, my plant-based lifestyle now.
So Janet, first of all, right here, I want to make sure that people know how to find you. So,
Yes.
and we'll also make sure we put it in the description below. How can people find you on social so that they can watch you doing these amazing meals?
On Facebook, Jan's in her own kitchen. On no, not on Instagram. On TikTok, that's where I do my live cooking. Janet Brown 600, and
Yes.
about it for me. You know, I did have a little show that I was creating on Facebook, on YouTube, but I don't really have the time for a lot of
Yeah.
those right there. But I want them to watch it because I do have a book that I'm trying to put an ebook together. You know,
Yes.
the whole thing that I'm trying to work up
You know,
to.
Janet, we're going to do some talking offline about how to get that YouTube up, even with not a lot of time. You know, I've been doing Getting to After now for almost a year, but I am a content creator and confident content coach. I can't let that hat go down. So we're going to chat. So we're going to get that up because we want to make sure as many people can see you. And some people really aren't about TikTok live. I am. Some aren't, but we want to make sure they see you. So let me ask you this. There's a lot of people that are not, they're like, I'll never give up meat, but they're a little curious. They're a little curious about how to do it. So what would you say is your favorite go-to meal that even non-vegans love?
Even not the staple for vegans and non-vegans is beans. Beans is a high protein, high fiber food that you can always go to. The best fruit that God made on the planet, food period, is jackfruit.
Okay.
Jackfruit is the
Jackfruit.
best of. People may not know how to use it, you know, but I can teach you how to use it. It is you jackfruit. I'm not talking about the fresh one that's sitting in the produce department. I'm talking about the canned one that's in a
Can.
brine. Yes, in a,
Yes.
and so because that one is in a brine, you can rinse it and and get it going and drain it, and it takes on any flavor that you give it. So you can make absolutely anything. They make it from tacos to even ribs. They can do
Wow.
anything with jackfruit, and
Okay.
best food. It's got the best nutrition from head to toe. Like she told us to relax and start from head to toe. It has something for your body from head to
Mm,
toe. I've
mm.
never, I didn't even know it existed until I became vegan. It's the best food. It's good for
It's
your
so funny that you say that because it was Tabitha Brown that turned me on to it. She was making some kind of jackfruit sandwich, something or other. And I said, what in the world? So I had to look it up. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, it's great.
Uh-huh.
Good for your eyes, your hair, your skin, your stomach, your everything. It's just got something good for you. It's the
Wow.
best. It's hard. Prime one is hard to find. You got to go to, Whole Foods or, a Sprouts, things like that. And it can be spendy in those stores. If you go to the Chinese markets, now the Chinese markets keep all those ingredients for
Yes.
vegan.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can get it for like $1 some a can, but any place else, you're going to spend a few dollars
All right,
for it.
so Morgan, next time you come out here, because last time Morgan was out here, we went to these markets. We went to all the Asian markets out here and filled the cart up. And
It was
I
so much fun.
we're gonna come. We're gonna do that. All right. So one of the things we like to do is kind of a rapid fire answer. So we're gonna be looking for you to give us 2 or 3. We're gonna do this real quick, little rapid fire. Morgan, go first.
Okay, what's the secret to a good sauce?
Ooh. Secret to a good sauce, tahini.
Tahini.
Okay, tahini. All right, awesome, awesome. What's the spice you can't live without?
Ooh, curry.
Oh yes.
Mm.
I make curry eggs, with tofu all the time. I make curry tofu, curry jackfruit. I can eat curry every day. My house smell like you're in India.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so what's your worst kitchen flop?
Trying to make, and it was yesterday. I haven't had any flops. I mean, because
There you go.
but it was yesterday was my first real flop because I tried to turn sweet potato black bean into a breakfast sausage. Because I know it's got to be a way to do it. I just haven't found it. I've dumped many things, fed the cats and the dogs because
And they're healthy, right? The animals are healthy.
yeah, before I became vegan because I'm a creator, and creating you make a lot of mistakes because you're trying to get the science part down right. It's all about the science part, you know.
Mhm.
Math is important, but it's just to get it down right, you know. I just couldn't believe that came out of thin air with it. You know, my husband, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to make some sausage, but I made amazing sausage after that. I just went and got all the ingredients and just.
I saw on TikTok. I saw.
My sister ate it. She said, it kind of tastes like dressing. She said, and it's better than dressing. Why did you do this? Rosemary and thyme and, you know.
Those you need those hearty. Oh, I love it. All right, so we're gonna have to bring you back on, and we're gonna make sure that everyone sees. I will get a link to that particular post to make sure that everyone can tap on that and see your sausage, because it is a very interesting thing if you have some kind of health issues. One of the things that I know is worth trying. One of my friends, they were trying to go vegan and it just was not working. So they just had meatless Monday. So they chose a day that they were going to be meatless. I had another friend who was having severe financial problems. Severe. She was not working because she was raising her small son. And so they basically took meat out like 3 or 4 days a week to save money. And at the time that worked for them. So there's a lot of different ways you can kind of do it. I know that probably if I didn't live here in this house, I could go completely vegan. I really am a vegetable girl, and I do like to cook with them, and I put them in everything. But I'm a little bit like, I can't do soy at all because I have a huge, reaction to that. So this idea of jackfruit, we're gonna all go out and get us some jackfruit and brine. We're gonna go
So
get us some of that.
you would probably think tofu is off the chart for you because it's made from soybeans. It's just soybeans. That's all it is. But there's so many ways to make tofu. You can make it from beans. You see what I'm saying? They a lot of them. So if you go to some of the markets, like Sprouts and things like that, farmer markets, you can
Yes.
find that have the tofu in different types of like lentil tofu. There's different types of
Okay.
beans
Did not know that.
that absorb flavors because tofu is really, I have to wean myself off of tofu. I love tofu so much. I can't go to the store without buying a block of tofu. I just can't. But I'm trying to. People say, how can you eat that? It's so bland. Well, try eating a fresh piece of cut chicken and just
With
cook it
nothing.
with
It's not
nothing.
good. It's not good.
That's all I can tell people. Tell me if you're going to like that. It's the same as if you don't put seasoning in it, if you don't marinate it, it's not going to taste good. So that's
Right.
the same. That's why tofu don't taste good, because whoever you ate it from, they didn't prepare it properly. Most of these Asian markets do not marinate or put a lot of seasoning on their tofu, but I have such an acquired taste because after you start eating a certain way, you have an acquired taste for plant-based food.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
tastes anyway. But
Yes.
before, even the textures. And people say, well, why do you, this is a question they have, why do you try to mimic meat if you don't like eating meat? Baby, I grew up on meat. I
So
grew
did the rest of us.
I we don't know what the future beholds, but we do have our past. So we don't, what we grew up on, those tastes and textures are there. That's all that's installed in me. So I know, but I'm not eating meat, but I'm going to mimic it sometimes. And
Right.
sometimes, for the most, if you look at a lot of my posts, I just create. I don't mimic a lot of meats.
Mm-hmm.
I like flavor.
Yes.
And then I put I just put
Yeah.
a name, just like diagnosis. They just put names on our diagnosis. If we have an inflammation somewhere, there's a name for inflammation. If you're having pain
Yeah.
here, and then that's how they name the.
Right.
Yeah.
But
It's just
it's interesting, that whole idea of, I know people ask those kind of questions all the time. I've seen them. And I think it's so silly. Food is food. So like, why are we judging food? I am definitely, I'm afraid of certain things. I grew up on soy like crazy. Soy was kind of new when I was a youngster. My mom immediately, because of health problems that she had, immediately gravitated toward it. And we ate it constantly. And I loved it. But it's, for me, the soy I can't do. And I don't even go down to soy milk or anything. Like, I just really can't have soy. And they put it in everything. But I love these additional little, tidbits. So we're definitely going to be watching you so we can find out. Morgan, I know that y'all are meat eaters down there. How would the family feel if you start being like, well, now I know your daughter, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, is kind of anti-meat these days.
You know, that's funny because Sequoia was just talking to me. Sequoia is my youngest daughter. She's my 15-year-old. And she was talking to me last week when we were about to do our grocery shopping. And she's like, Mom, so what if we just cut out like sugar and bread and milk and cheese? And I said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's do one thing at a time. I cannot go out with all of those at once. And she says, well, do we have to, she asked me, instead of getting like steak and beef, to get turkey. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can do that. I can jam with that because it's better for your tummy, you know, for digestion. So I was like, okay, I'm digging that. And then she goes, she's like, chicken is so expensive now. It's almost the price of steak and beef. She says, so she goes, do we really even need that? And I said, I can't get rid of that quite yet. But she says, maybe, she's like, maybe once a week. She said once a week,
Yeah.
just like introducing something. I mean, taking out something and introducing something. So I think that we might try that. That might work.
I love it. I mean, I think, you know, for us, I really am that girl who will just be really vibe on some. We went to a soul food spot a couple days ago, and I really eat soul food. And I was just like, everything looked amazing. I was like, collard greens, green beans, zucchini, like bring me, because they did it up and it wasn't with a lot of meat in it. And I was surprised. So it was like kind of a, they had meat there, but it was definitely like had that vegan kind of feel to it, kind of a health feel to it. So it was really awesome. You know something, Janet, we definitely want to get to some tapping. We want to talk more to you. We want to talk about beauty. We want to talk about all the things you do with your face. But one thing I do want to make sure that everyone kind of has a thought about is like the richness that you've even just brought to this conversation, the richness, the stories, the experience, because we need to all of us be talking together. We can't get, one of us can't get to after and the rest of us are left behind. And I think as we go, you know, kind of go on this life journey, we are getting sicker younger. We are getting ailments earlier. We are, you know, having issues way, way younger than we used to. And some of these little tweaks that we can take care of internally, some of the little tweaks that we can take care, like taking on things like grounding, breathing, tapping, and the other things have to do with our look and taking care of ourselves in that way. So one thing that I do want to ask you is probably controversial a little bit. I'm not going to ask you to judge nobody, but you know, being that you're past 50, so you're, you know, in your 60s looking amazing. What's one thing in terms of beauty that you wish more women embraced before they kind of said, well, I'm giving up because I've let myself go? What's something that you think, a routine that a woman should embrace to really feel her best?
You guys mentioned it earlier. We don't have to look like what we've been through. And the one that's most judgmental of you is you judging yourself. So when you walk past that mirror, you know, I noticed that even when I just did my lashes, I was like, ooh, you know, just for that moment, it gave me a good feeling about Jan. But we need to take care of our skin. My mother had the most amazing skin. It was like peaches and cream. Have you ever seen a fuzzy peach and you see that just that hint of, like it was rouge on that peach? She always took care of her skin. And that's something she inculcated in me. I feel horrible right now because I haven't been taking care of my skin. I think about her every day. She was, my mother died in her late 80s and she had skin like, she was very beautiful lady. But she said, take care of your skin, baby. Because, you know, and your hair, but my mother wore wigs, okay? But she didn't have to. And I don't have to, but I have thinning edges due to medication and issues. But the skin is the first thing that people see is your face. It's the first thing you see in the mirror is your face. To me, everybody's no judgment on nobody part, whatever they want to take care. But take care of your skin, you know. And of course, our interior definitely needs to be taken care of. We need to make sure that, you know, that we're gut healthy because our gut feeds the rest of our body. If, you know, our gut healthy, that's what I do. I eat and drink a lot of probiotics, things that are helping my gut, you know. And overall, internally, my organs feel great. It's my bones that are messed up and, you know, things that, you know, just hereditary and things that's just going to happen. But if we take care of our gut and take care of our face, our skin, we're going to feel good. And we don't need, because your makeup application is only good as your skin. So,
Ooh, you said a word, girl.
so take care of your face and take care of your internal organs, like your stomach. Man, that's the most amazing thing right there, to feel good and not over bloaty and don't know what's going
Mhm.
on. I would have took care of my stomach before, by eating it clean.
Mhm.
Before that surgery, when they removed my gallbladder, I would have never had to have that surgery. That I just want to let you know that it's not, don't feel bad about, what you probably don't feel bad about it, but let it be a good thing that you can't take in soy because, like I said, I have to wing myself up because soy, as you do the research, is not the best thing for you. You see what I'm saying? Soy makes you top heavy. It gives young men boobs. You know what I'm saying? And so people gotta eat everything in moderation. And it's just, just because it's plant based don't mean although
Yes.
things are good for you. They may be good to you, but not good for you. So
Thank
moderation with soy. People that are soy eaters, be careful. I'm trying to get away from gluten and soy is a
you.
matter of,
Yeah.
so those are some things I'm working on.
Thank you so much. So that's what I mean. I mean, there's so many things we don't know, and so many things we can't even get into. We will have you back because you know how we and I both feel. Morgan and I feel the same way. It's like we're always dabbling in what we can do that's natural, as opposed to the medical profession giving us pills. Although we both take medicine. I mean, I do take medicine, but I know that food can be medicine. I know movement is medicine. I know that mindset is medicine. So a lot of times it's like those things, and that's why I love your content, because that's always the underlying message, and that's why I can't stop smiling because I'm so excited that I met you on that day when you didn't feel good, but you stood up as that kind of woman, to be a friend and a support to someone. So we're going to do, before we close out, is we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a little tapping demonstration. Morgan and I like to sometimes do them free willed. Sometimes we have them written out. This particular one we did create in advance because we want to help women to think about, how do you reclaim joy? How do you reclaim energy? And how do you give yourself back agency and identity, even if you've been such a giver? Because you've been such a giver, but conversely, you know how to give to yourself as well. Morgan, would you mind just kind of sharing a little bit about tapping, maybe the 1 minute wrap up for Janet, and then explain the SUDS?
Oh, absolutely. So basically what tapping is acupuncture, but without the needles. So what you're doing is we're going to be using the pressure points on the top of our head, at our eyebrow points, the side of our eyes, under your eye, your lip, nose, right here under your arm and top of the head. And so when you're pressing on those pressure points, it actually helps release any negative stagnant energy in those areas. So it helps make a full circuit to help with any either emotional things that are going on in you, or any physical pain. So a lot of times you'll hear people say, they're like, oh, I'm so stressed out, my neck hurts or my shoulders hurt, something like that. And usually it's because it's tied or attached to something psychological. So what it does is it helps you to be able to release that too. So what we do is we set you up with this, it's called a SUDS. And what it is we just ask you what your pain level is, or in a certain area. So for example, if it was your neck, from a 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest rate of pain, to give us a number. And then we'll rate that. And then throughout the process at the end, we'll go ahead and we'll ask you at the end to give us another number to see where we were able to help you and move from there.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
So Morgan, thank you for that. I love how you describe it. I describe it all day long, but when I listen to someone else, it just makes me feel so good. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. And both of you can either repeat out loud, or you can just repeat in your mind. Either way you want to do it. Janet, normally Morgan does repeat out loud, but you don't have to. And for those of you in our audience watching, realize that this is something that you do not have to do out loud. You can just use your mind. It will work anyway. Also, if you feel funny about tapping and you're in public or something, don't be in public. It's not that deep, okay? And the last thing I want to say too is that on this subjective unit of distress, that's what the SUDS level is, subjective unit of distress, it may not just be physical pain. It could be heart pain. meaning emotional heart. It could be sadness. It could be that you're going through a grieving period, or you could be losing a part of your health. It's not a pain that you're having, but it's like that grieving period. Go ahead and give yourself a level, 0 to 10. How are you feeling about those things? Is it like, I'm at a 10. I feel really sad about the loss of, this part of my health. Or, maybe I'm at a 5 today. The goal doesn't mean that that we absolutely can wipe that all the way out in one round. What we're going to do, we're going to do this for about 5 minutes. But what does happen is you may notice a little switch, just a little bit. You also don't feel crazy if you feel yourself having chills, you feel warm, you get cold all of a sudden, or you kind of shiver. That is energy moving, and that's always a good thing.
Mhm.
So we're going to take our fingers like this, and we're going to start on the left-hand side, and we're going to do our setup phrase. But first thing we're going to do, we're going to just cleanse what we've been talking about. We're going to take a deep breath into the nose and out through the mouth. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So even though I've spent so many years caring for others,
Even though I've spent so many years caring for others
and pushing through pain,
and pushing through pain,
I choose to care for myself now without guilt.
I choose to care for myself now without guilt.
And even though I sometimes forget who I am on the outside of what I do,
And even though I sometimes forget who I am on the outside of what I do,
I honor the parts of me that are still becoming.
I honor the parts of me that are still becoming.
And even though it's been a long road,
And even though it's been a really long road,
I deeply and completely love, accept, and celebrate myself today.
I deeply and completely love, accept, and celebrate myself today.
Awesome. Okay, so take a little breath right there. And we're going to work on releasing the weight of overgiving, because we talked a little bit about that today. So we're going to start on an eyebrow point. You can just start right here on the inside of your eye, and you can just follow along with us, Janet. So all these years of pushing through,
All these years of pushing through,
side of eye, holding everything and everyone together,
holding everyone and everything together,
under eye, the exhaustion I never name,
the exhaustion that I never name,
under nose, the guilt when I think about resting,
the guilt the guilt of when I think about resting.
That's a hard one, right? Let's keep tapping right there for a second. Just think about that. What's that guilt feel like? That guilt when I think about resting. Chin, the pressure to be the strong one always.
The pressure to be the strong one always.
Collarbone, the way I forget about my own joy.
The way I forget about my own joy.
And under the arm, this part of me that feels unseen.
This part of me that feels unseen.
And top of head, I release what no longer serves me.
I release what no longer serves me.
Eyebrow point, I get to nourish myself.
I get to nourish myself.
Side of eye, I reclaim my energy and my peace.
I reclaim my energy and my peace.
Under nose, I choose my food.
I choose my food.
I choose my healthy food.
I choose my healthy food.
And I choose rest and joy that support me.
And I choose rest and joy that support me.
Under nose, I give myself permission to be happy.
I give myself permission to be happy.
Chin, I remember who I am outside of all of my roles.
I remember who I am outside of all of my roles.
All of the hats that I wear.
All of the hats that I wear.
And all of the expertise that I give.
And all the expertise that I give.
I remember who I am outside of all of that.
I remember who I am outside of all of that.
Collarbone, my body deserves care, not just function.
My body deserves care and not just function.
Yeah. I give myself permission to take care of my body.
I give myself permission to take care of my body.
Underarm, I am allowed to be more than I give.
I am allowed to be more than I give.
And top of head, I am allowed to reclaim my joy.
I am allowed to reclaim my joy.
One more round. Eyebrow point. I deserve a full life at any age.
I deserve a full life at any age.
Side of eye. I am worthy of attention, love, and rest.
I am worthy of attention, love, and rest.
Under I fuel my life with care and attention.
I fill my life with care and attention.
Under nose, my story isn't over. It's getting richer every day.
My story isn't over, and it's getting richer every day.
Chin, I radiate joy.
I radiate joy.
I radiate power.
I radiate power.
I radiate peace.
And I radiate peace.
Collarbone, every choice I make can serve me.
Every choice I make can serve me.
I have to make the right choices.
I have to make the right choices.
I give myself permission to make the best choices for me.
I give myself permission to make the best choices for me.
Underarm, I feel strong in who I am becoming.
I feel strong in who I'm becoming.
And top of head, I am still becoming.
I am still becoming.
And I am enough.
And I am enough.
Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Just for a second, you can kind of move your head from side to side. No doubt you release some tension. Jana, I don't know if that's your first time doing that. Let us know how you feel.
Like I want to cry a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
Good.
Yeah. Morgan and I do this all the time, and crying is one of the first things that happens to both of us. Yeah. And so those are parts of your body, part of your emotion that we're holding. We don't allow space for them because we don't know they're there.
Mm-hmm.
And tapping, which took us probably 5 minutes, can help you release some of that. If we were working together, Janet, what we would do next, or if you were working in one of our circles with other women, we would go ahead and let you speak and give voice to what does that connect to? Does it connect to a pain in your body? Does it connect to a person that you're taking care of? As women, especially in midlife and beyond, we do not allow ourselves space for our emotions.
Mm.
You good?
Yeah, it's just deep thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I appreciate about this is it helps release immediately things that we didn't even realize were an issue. And that's what happens a lot to me too, is like I'll start crying or I'll get chills or I'll belch. You know, sometimes something will happen to my body that is literally releasing from the emotion that is taking over. So
Yeah.
I just want to say that, I appreciate you, sharing your story and stuff. I don't tune into a lot of podcasts. I'm on TikTok for a reason, and I'm not on there to play. A lot of people on there to play. I ran across, every time I see Chatone post something, I jump over there because she's my mentor. And so whether she realizes it or not, I just adopted her because of, yes. And there with a story of, what you had been through. And
It's very powerful.
Yeah. And that's what really made me start not want to miss when I seen you guys on there together. Because I've been through that. You have my complete story.
Mm.
It's just sad, but it's good to see you looking so great, and you don't look like what you've been through. And before, I met my husband, 31 years ago. He was the one that saved me, from that bondage.
Yeah.
And devil, and that's what I named him because that's what he was.
Oh. Well, Jana, I'm going to tell you something. We would really welcome you back in October. So during the month where, survivors of domestic violence are honored or thought about, cared about, in getting to after, we're always thinking about those women that sometimes people forget about. It's too dark to think about. We work with a lot of them. And the stories are kind of just coming out because we do show up and we talk about hard things, but we would love to have an opportunity to talk with you in October when we will feature that the entire month. So that'll be awesome. Whoa, girls, this has been so Good. You know, it always gets a little deep. Morgan and I cry a lot. I think it's good because who needs a full tear duct? Like, let it out.
Yeah, right. I thought I had tears in my eyes one time. It was my tear glands. They're right there, and
Impacts it. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were. So you don't know. You be saying some medical, real good knowledge there because, and I thought it was because I cried too much. I probably didn't cry enough.
You probably didn't cry enough.
Ain't
Well,
got time.
everyone, I want to tell you something. This lady right here, you want to go ahead and follow her. Make sure you look in the description box. Don't miss her lives. One of the things I thought would be a great homework assignment or challenge for everyone is to think, can you, as Morgan was saying, go meat free for one day? Like, not just a meal. We're not talking about just meatless Monday, meaning Monday night for dinner or something, or you want to do that. Like, can you do it for an entire day? I'm definitely on board. Morgan, you on board?
Oh, absolutely. Woo!
Absolutely. I've probably done it many times. I haven't thought about it. And now when I start thinking about it, I'm going to be craving some meat. But I make sure that I absolutely do it. I have noticed that I'm tagging a lot of recipes when I see people cooking. That's a great way also of getting your eye used to it, going into TikTok and actually searching for people like Janet, specifically her first, and then going and seeing what other people are doing, going into Pinterest and getting those ideas because your eye, the reticular activating system, is going to want to eat, it's going to want to see, it's going to be attracted to things that it looks at. And so you can switch your brain just by using your eyes. Also, we'll make sure in our upcoming issue of Getting the After the Easy, which I am deep in preparation for, it's so good, we are going to be featuring a vegan salad, a salad recipe basically, that I'm in the process of creating, and it's going to be delicious. Now, we didn't say we didn't drink alcohol, but I am pairing it with an amazing rosé as well. It's going to be a feature in my life this summer. I'm salivating already. If you haven't had a chance to look at our spring issue, you can always go. Let me put our link up so that you don't miss the spring issue. It is still available. It's bit.ly/G2A-spring. And if you heard something today that you're like, I need to know more about this, I need to know how to work with them, I like who they're bringing on board, I like the messaging, and I specifically like the tapping, let me give you a link that you can go ahead and you can get a personalized session with us. Just go to bit.ly/tap-chat, and Morgan and I would love an opportunity to show you what it's all about. Final words, Janet?
Eat plants with me.
Oh, there it is. Oh, thank you for being here so much, Morgan. Thank you for just being the best, most amazing co-host I could ever ask for. I appreciate you all for being here. Don't forget to tune back in next week for another episode of Getting to After.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much.